All right, she lost an election, and now she's projecting. Hillary Clinton went on The View this week, which immediately raises a serious question. What's the weight capacity for that stage? But you'll never guess what she talked about. Her love of gardening, the things she does to stay healthy, how much she adores catching and cooking stray kittens. Nah, it was Donald Trump, as expected. But it's like I always tell Taylor Swift, girl, you gotta move on. Seriously, Trump doesn't just live in Hillary's brain. He's built a 500-unit condo with in-unit laundry and a rooftop lounge.
When Greg Gutfeld takes a shot, no political figure is safe, especially not Hillary Clinton. With sharp wit and brutal honesty, Gutfeld strips away the polished image of political theater to reveal the real Hillary behind the smiles and catchy sound bites. From email scandals to global missteps, nothing is off limits as he takes apart her legacy with a smirk and a mic drop. Get ready. This isn't just criticism, it's a comedic takedown.
Of registered voters said any Republican would be better than President Biden, prompting one woman to legally change her name to NE Republican. In Washington, D.C., the giant grocery chain has announced a ban on large bags. Great, now where will I shop? Complains one large bag.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Now, picture this. You wake up one morning, stretch your arms, sip your overpriced Starbucks latte, and think, you know what? The world could really use more unsolicited advice from Hillary Clinton. Because, clearly, nothing says national healing like a political figure who spent more time dodging scandals than a raccoon in a trash-filled alley.
Hillary Clinton argues Joe should be, quote, direct and forceful, end quote, against Trump in the CNN debate. Yeah, direct and forceful, just like the noose I put around Epstein's neck. If I did it.
And just on cue, Greg Gutfeld decided to take the wrecking ball for a spin. But folks, this wasn't just demolition. It was a Category 5 roast, packed with verbal fire, public spectacle, and the finesse of a wrecking ball in a china shop. But hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got a Clinton to torch.
Warning signals that you were gonna lose? Well, too bad you didn't bother to visit the states you ended up losing, you potato-shaped wine bag. But would he even be worse now?
I think that he'd be even worse now because he was somewhat restrained, believe it or not, in the first term by people who he hired because he thought they would go along with him, and they stood.
If political comebacks were a sport, Hillary would be the Michael Jordan of completely missing the hoop. Every 4 years, like a poorly scripted reboot, she steps out of the shadows, armed with a new pantsuit and a freshly polished sense of moral superiority. It's almost poetic, if poetry were written in Comic Sans by a team of consultants who all failed ethics class.
And, they're going to try to ignore him for as long as they can because they're deathly afraid of him. And they're going to do to him what they did to me in the Democratic primary of 2020, which is pretend you don't exist. And then if people start noticing you, then they will try to smear and cancel and destroy him at all costs.
I remember what Hillary did to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she's still standing.
Baseless smears that get repeated over and over and over again by the propaganda media until people actually start to believe it, and it starts causing some real damage.
But on the bright side,
let's take a stroll down memory lane, shall we? Back to a time when email servers lived in basements. Benghazi was just a place on the map, and delete wasn't just a button. It was a lifestyle. Because nothing builds public trust like erasing 30,000 emails faster than a teenager hiding texts from their mom.
asking Hillary what will happen if Trump is reelected, which is odd because Hillary's an expert on not getting elected. I wonder, does she think it would end our country as we know it?
I think it would be the end of our country as we know it. And I don't say that lightly. You know, I hated losing And I especially hated losing to him because I had seen so many warning signals during the campaign.
Greg didn't hesitate for a second, his eyes sparkling with mischief, the political equivalent of tossing Mentos into a Diet Coke bottle. But in this case, the Diet Coke is Hillary's legacy, and the Mentos are truth bombs dipped in sarcasm. The man didn't even flinch. He casually tore apart decades of carefully crafted Clinton PR like he was opening a bag of chips. Sour cream and electoral delusion, anyone?
Whoa.
This is why lefties always get all the commencement addresses, and they love to spout their opinions on award shows because they know there's no journalist there that will ask them a question. And the reason why, and he's the perfect example, none of their opinions are actually real. They are all assigned.
And we can't forget the Clinton Foundation, that shining example of what exactly? Goodwill, transparency, or just a cleverly disguised family business with the branding of a charity and the efficiency of a DMV on fire. Millions of dollars funneled in, yet somehow the world remains unchanged. Coincidence? Probably not. Greg, with the giddy excitement of a kid unwrapping a gift labeled hypocrisy, gleefully pointed out that Hillary's speeches to Wall Street were less about inspiring leadership and more like a customer service rep reading from a gold-plated teleprompter. Paid 6 figures to tell banks everything was fine. Basically, the political version of a lullaby for billionaires. And the audacity? Impeccable. He peeled back the layers of polished narrative like an onion of ambition, ego, and ironic detachment. And yes, there were tears, but only from the audience, laughing hysterically.
Been in the Democratic Party's pocket since Hillary stopped having sex.
That's like decades.
Yeah. Losing the union endorsement is like P. Diddy running out of baby oil. There's a whole lot of friction ahead. When Teamsters polled their members about the Dems' new candidate, Cackles McKnee pads.
Let's not forget her sudden rebranding as a champion of truth. This is rich coming from someone who once claimed to be dead broke while owning more real estate than Monopoly. Hillary's relationship with truth is like a vegan at a barbecue. Awkward, tense, and full of contradictions. And somehow, she still manages to present herself as a voice of moral clarity in politics. That's like being the designated driver at a demolition derby. Sure, it sounds responsible, but you're still in the wrong place. Greg's takedown was so clinical, so ruthless. It felt like watching a roast on the History Channel. Educational, but with jokes. He casually reminded us that Hillary has been involved in more scandals than most soap operas, but with worse acting. Every relatable moment feels like it was approved by a focus group and tested on lab rats for authenticity. Drinking beer at a dive bar, staged riding the subway, staged breathing oxygen, TBD. This one is wild.
Alleged creator of the plan was Julianne Smith, a Clinton policy advisor that the unclassified Durham report refers to as Foreign Policy Advisor 1. And this woman, look how happy she is. She's like, I got away with everything. I nailed it. And then Obama made me the liaison to NATO. I mean, not Obama, Biden. Like I continue to get employed by these people because all I do is sit around and do the illicit bidding of my Democrat power boss.
But the kicker, the piece de resistance of his roast, came when Gutfeld casually tossed out a rhetorical Molotov cocktail about Clinton's unique ability to make everything worse by simply endorsing it. Endorse a candidate, they lose. Endorse a policy, it tanks. It's like she's cursed by the gods of irony. If Hillary supported gravity, objects would just start floating. Meanwhile, back at Clinton HQ, the strategy seems to be deny everything, deflect always, and, for the love of all that's politically sacred, never take responsibility. It's like watching a magician who only does vanishing acts with emails, accountability, and credibility. Now, is it unfair to blame Hillary for everything? Probably. Is it fun? Absolutely. Because watching someone who's been in politics since dial-up internet still pretend to be the fresh face of change is like watching a VHS tape try to fight TikTok. And don't even get started on the media echo chamber that follows her around like a caffeinated cheerleading squad. What she meant was exactly what she said. It just didn't land again.
One is wild. This is Hillary Clinton in like 2008, and Hillary Clinton saying some wild MAGA type shit.
Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they...
She's a Republican.
If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes. And you have to try to learn English. And you have to wait in line.
You have to wait in line. You have to wait in line. It's
You couldn't believe that.
illusion.
Greg didn't even break a sweat. He simply listed the facts with a level of sarcasm sharper than a tax audit. The best part? Hillary wasn't even there to respond. She didn't need to be. The roast was so well done. Even Gordon Ramsay would have approved. Yet, like a villain in a political sitcom, she will return, probably just in time to write another memoir titled You Thought I Was Done. Spoiler alert, she wasn't. So, the saga continues. As long as Hillary keeps stepping into the spotlight with the grace of a malfunctioning Roomba, there will always be people like Gutfeld ready to hand her the microphone and then set the stage on fire. And we'll be here, popcorn in hand, watching the slow-motion train wreck that is political ambition unburdened by self-awareness. Because nothing says, I'm done with politics, like popping up on every news cycle like a haunted political Furby. And let's not forget those endless interviews where she offers insights like a Monday morning quarterback with a grudge and a thesaurus.
Hillary Clinton, of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
She, first of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was
She shows up in a perfectly curated blazer, drops a few sentences loaded with passive-aggressive wisdom, and smiles like she just remembered where she buried the bodies. Figuratively, of course, probably. But what makes it worse, what makes it art, is how the crowd nods solemnly, as if she just solved world hunger with a soundbite. She says things like, "We need to protect democracy," which, coming from her, sounds less like a call to action and more like a phishing email wrapped in a TED Talk. There's this constant performance as if the real issue is that democracy failed her, not the other way around. Meanwhile, Greg's roast didn't just poke holes. It ripped off the facade, threw it into the Hudson, and then handed out binoculars so everyone could watch it float away. He brought up everything polite society pretends not to remember, the donor pay-to-play allegations. But the real kicker? Gutfeld laid it all out with a grin that screamed, "I read the footnotes, too." Every single time Clinton's camp tried to rebrand her as the wise elder stateswoman.
Doesn't mean that Hillary would have been a good choice either. She was a terrible choice. She's a corrupt politician, one of the most unlikable people that's ever run for office. They were trying to get people to be supporting her just because she's a woman. This is going to be her history. Women, ladies, I stand with her. So there's all these women that have this blind allegiance towards this career politician, completely full of shit. She's been full of shit.
Greg reminded America that she's less of a Jedi master and more of a corporate HR rep with a grudge and a Gmail problem. And the fans ate it up. Why? Because for once, someone said out loud what everyone else only mumbles at Thanksgiving, that the entire Hillary Clinton political arc has become a never-ending PowerPoint of contradictions. Champion of women, unless they accuse someone she likes. Defender of truth, unless it's under subpoena. Fighter for the people? Sure, as long as they're pre-approved donors with strong Wi-Fi. But here's the most delicious irony of it all. Despite all the years of branding, rebranding, and deflection.
There she puts out this tweet, and it's a picture of her, a much younger Hillary, and the caption on the hat reads, "But her emails." And she writes in her tweet, "Bringing this back in light of recent news. Get a limited edition But Her Emails hat and support Onward Together groups working to strengthen our democracy." The nerve of this woman to have committed federal crimes and to have gotten off because James Comey didn't have the spine to bring it.